Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to ARC's weekly Fireside Chat. Today, we'll be talking about our Home Well program for public and private partnerships and reentry support with some amazing human beings and partners that have put together a reentry strategy along with support for people that are being released from the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. As usual, before we move forward, I'd like to give a few instructions for our viewers. If you're on a computer, if you look at the lower half of your computer, there's a ribbon and you'll see different icons. One icon says chat and one icon says Q&A. If you'd like to communicate or ask questions directly with any of our panelists, please type in either the chat box or the Q&A. And as time permits, we will definitely answer your questions. Thank you so much for joining again. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce these amazing human beings and panelists. So we have Aly Tamboura from the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, Jessica Fernandez from the Department of Rehabilitative Programs in the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, Kevin Hoffman from the Department of California Rehabilitation, Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, Doug Bond from the Amity Foundation, Samra Haider from CEO Center for Employment Opportunities, and Deshonnte Jones, one of our own members who have just came home from incarceration. I'd like to give each one of our panelists a moment to introduce themselves. So Aly, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure, yeah. My name is Aly Tamboura. I am a program officer at the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. I am also formerly incarcerated, spent 12 years of my life in the Department of Corrections, and it's an honor to be here.
Thank you, and thank you for being here, and thank you for the work that you've been doing for our community. Jessica, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jessica Fernandez. I'm with the Division of Rehabilitative Programs within the Department of Corrections. I provide oversight to all of our community reentry programs statewide to ensure the continuum of care from within the institution out into the community and to try to ensure some success for our participants that are going through our programs and receiving services.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for attending and joining our show and the work that the department is doing in helping people come home quickly. Doug, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hi, thank you, Sam. Doug Bond, Chief Executive Officer, Amity Foundation. Amity Foundation is a community-based organization that provides services throughout California. I actually came down to the foundation as a child of two incarcerated parents. I was in foster care, and the founders helped bring me to Amity and reunite me with my family members.
Thank you for joining, Doug, and thank you, Amity, for all the work that you've definitely been doing in our community, too. Kevin, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure, thank you, Sam. Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Hoffman. I'm the Deputy Director over Program Operations for the Division of Rehabilitative Programs, which is a division within the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. I manage both rehabilitative programs in prison and rehabilitative programs in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us again. Thank you for the work that CDCR is doing and expediting the release of many people. Samra, please introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Samra Haider. I'm the Executive Director of Programs and the Chief Strategy Officer at the Center for Employment Opportunities, or CEO. We are a nonprofit that focuses on helping people coming home get employment, and we do that primarily through a social enterprise model. And while we're based in New York, we have 29 offices nationally and 10 in California.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the work that CEO does. Another one of our partners that's co-located with us in Los Angeles. Deshaunte, welcome home, brother, and could you introduce yourself?
Thank you. Hey, my name is Deshaunte Jones. Hello to everyone. I'm a student athlete. I'm currently been recently paroled from prison. I just served 6 years for gang enhancement robbery. Took something that didn't belong to me a long time ago when I was 18. I'm 24, I turned 25 in January, and I'm a changed man, you know, and I'm here to shed some light on the things that need to be shed light on and just give my insight on anything that needs to be given insight on, you know. Yeah, you know, I'm back chasing my dreams. I was playing football before I went to prison. Verbal commit to USC, number 7 running back in the nation. I've been staying focused on that my whole term, and I'm back on that. That's my dream. So yeah, thanks for having me, you guys, and thank you to ARC.
Thank you, and welcome home. Thank you so much. And so for our viewers, you know, normally I don't wear a hat, but today I'm wearing a Rams hat. Want to just share with you that Sunday, the Rams will be having a charity kickoff. You can find it on either the Rams Facebook page or rams.com. And the reason why I want to highlight this is because the proceeds from this charity luncheon will go to children in Los Angeles that need computers and connectivity to be able to go to school. And this is something in a lot of under-resourced areas that is not being paid attention to. So I want to give a shout out to the Rams for doing that, and hope that many viewers would join their luncheon. It's at 5:20 p.m. This Sunday. It's a pre-kickoff before the Dallas Cowboys and the Rams game the following Sunday. I'd like to ask Ali, it's our hope that Returning Home Well Partners can be seen as a model for how public agencies, private foundations, nonprofits can work together to support people coming home. What do you see as the most crucial element in supporting people as they return during this time, this pandemic time?
I mean, the first thing I would say would be housing, and a lot of wraparound services that go with housing, and being able to get to a point where people returning home are self-sustainable. And I think, I think the Amity Foundation and all the community groups that are in this coalition together have a unique opportunity to, be a model for the rest of the country, how we're tackling this problem during these hard times.
Thank you. And wanted to also highlight in this time, thinking in terms of the thousands of people that are being released or have been released now, is there anything else that you might want to point out that would that's crucial for our communities to look at and be aware of, in terms of one, just as people are released like Deshonnte or myself or you, anything that you like to point out or just to share with our community that's watching?
I think most of the people who are probably watching here are part of our community and are interested in making sure that people have the services and the things that they need when they return home. And I like just urge everybody in California has been doing great work already. Places like ARC, and I mean, there's so many of our partners across the state that are giving people rights home, opening up their homes for people. And so to the community, it's just like, let's just keep doing this great work. Let's prove that we can work with government and with philanthropy and do things that are great for our returning citizens.
Thank you, Ali. Doug, I'd like to ask you, could you give us a brief description of exactly what is returning well home like? So because there are some who don't fully understand both the size and the scope of what everything that everybody has come together to do. So could you give us a brief outline of exactly what is this?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Thank you, Sam. Thanks for all the partners and the community members that have really helped come together to leverage a lot of resources. Returning Home Well is a collaboration with over 200 community-based organizations. Amity is helping to serve as a coordinating agency for that, for long-term residential treatment, for reentry and recovery housing, outpatient services, and for women and children's reentry programs as well. We're working with the Anti-Recidivism Coalition to help coordinate transportation, and with Center for Employment Opportunities to assist with their stipend programs that have been really essential to help with individuals that are seeking employment and need those resources. So we are helping to make sure that the resources are distributed. Amity is doing this as an in-kind effort and leveraging a lot of our infrastructure and resources to help better coordinate all of the services in the community that are available and ensure that those services are comprehensive for anyone coming home. And this really should be a model for what is done. I know we're doing it right now with the pandemic, but it really should be how everyone is coming home. And I do want to acknowledge the fact that these initiatives have really been built by men and women that have been formerly incarcerated, that have demonstrated helping to lead organizations, helping to do a lot of the work with people on the ground. And we could not do what we're doing right now without that support and without a lot of dedicated people that have made that commitment to helping others.
Thank you, Doug. And I'm hoping that people across the country can actually take a look at what California is doing, because this has been successful. And we'll talk a bit more about what CEO had initiated before this partnership. And so, Samra, just would like to know, why is it important or imperative that government, philanthropies, and community-based organizations work together to assist people as they're released from prison?
I think it's important just because all those entities have a stake at what happens to individuals. They're all committed to those populations, but oftentimes those things don't happen in strong collaboration, and that can lead to, you know, resources not being dispersed effectively. That can just lead to not the best experience for people coming home. And so I think it's really exciting and important that as much as possible, all of those entities can be working sort of alongside a consistent strategy, because that will be the way that we most help and affect change for those who are returning home.
Thank you. Thank you. Kevin, would you like to weigh in on that? Why is it imperative that government, philanthropy, community-based organizations work together to assist people as they're released from prison?
So, Sam, you know, historically, there's been a disconnect between our participants, our inmates, and then when they return home. There's been a serious disconnect over the years, and we always talk about a warm handoff, all of us involved in this, but this is a warm handoff basically on steroids. So I've never seen anything like this before, historically. So, I mean, they're coming home to the community. I think it's imperative that the philanthropists and CBOs and CDCR work together to ensure that these individuals have resources and can move forward and create live good lives. So I think that's why it's really important. The disconnect historically, it's gotten better, but this is so much better than anything I've ever seen.
It's truly amazing. And I'd like to ask you the same thing, Aly, because you have a unique perspective, both being so different from many in the sense that, one, as a program officer for a major foundation that sees everything that's going on, and formerly incarcerated, and seeing how the actual groundwork is happening. Same question to you. Why is it important for philanthropy, government, and community-based organizations to work together to really make sure that people are okay as they transition out of incarceration?
Well, I think public and private partnerships are, each entity has its abilities to do things that the other ones can't. And I'll use a perfect example. I went through a program called The Last Mile in San Quentin, which taught me how to write computer code, which inevitably landed me here at CZI. You know, bringing people in with other specialties like that the department couldn't do was, you know, it was integral to my success. And so as we start moving forward, doing public and private partnerships outside of the carceral setting, I think is imperative for success of our people coming home.
Thank you. Greatly appreciate the insight from each. I have a quick question from the audience, and this is probably one for you, Doug. My husband was just granted parole, and my question is, are the transitional houses open and accepting those just released? It was ordered for him to be in transitional housing for 90 days. So could you go ahead and answer that one, Doug? And
yes.
for the audience member who asked that, we will definitely have all of contact information for Amity and the other orgs on our screen before we close out. Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, thank you. And so yes, this resource is available to anybody that has been released from July 1st on, and this will be an ongoing resource it has been an amazing public-private partnership. I can't thank our philanthropy partners and our government partners on putting this together to allow us the ability to serve people that may have been released a few months ago. Even if they're coming in for services months later, we will make sure that people have the resources they need in the community. So the long answer to that is yes, absolutely. And please feel free to contact our stop office or our staff as well, and I'm happy to share that information. And we will make sure that we get in touch with the necessary resources in their community.
Thank you for that, Doug. One more question I wanted to field from our audience, and this is for Kevin and Jessica. Will CDCR continue providing housing to all those returning to society? If so, for how long? It is shown to work, soft handoff, and hence will ensure more success returning home well. Your thoughts, Kevin and Jessica?
Jessica, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I could go ahead and speak to that. So the funding, this funding that we've received, we do have it for the rest of the fiscal year and hopefully moving forward until we exhaust all our resources. But one of the things that the Division of Rehabilitative Program has is that we provide different types of services that have wraparound services for our population as they're being released. So although maybe this philanthropy funding will not be available ongoing, we still have the contracts in place to provide services to our releasing population. And it's because of the foundation that we've set up with our community providers, with our stakeholders, with organizations like ARC and Amity, that we're able to provide these services on a statewide level to the releases. And we're able to tap into the resources and bring all the different stakeholders and all the different resources that our community are eligible for, so that we can navigate the system and we can assist in navigating the system together.
Thank you, Jessica. Samra, I have a question for you. So many don't know, but CEO has been dispersing returning citizen stimulus funds since the beginning of the pandemic. I know that it has benefited many members of our community and ARC members that were returning home. Can you tell us more about how it could be the forerunner for this part, how it is the forerunner for this partnership now, and also a model that might be copied across the nation when we talk about decreasing the number of people that are incarcerated in order to create more safe space so that we can tap down COVID spread in the institutions?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is an idea that came about with some of our key philanthropic partners around, in March, wondering what's going to happen to folks who do get released during this time when even our own transitional work crews were not running at the same capacity. So is there a way to support people coming home during COVID? And then to your point, Sam, how can we maybe use this as a carrot for corrections institutions to release people more quickly, knowing that they'll be able to have resources when they come home? And so essentially we thought of, let's get 3 stimulus-like stipend payments to participants with very light programmatic requirements around engagement. We really didn't want to create a lot of barriers to getting this money, and we really didn't want to put a lot of conditions on how individuals spent that money. So that was pretty exciting. At first we thought, okay, we'll do it for CEOs, 29 offices, but then when we thought about it and thought about our partners in a lot of communities, we thought through 6 high-need cities, including Los Angeles and Oakland, and worked with incredible partners like ARC, like Amity, to help them disperse payments to their participants. So it was really great for CEO to utilize its kind of infrastructure of paying people every day to help others. And I'm just so excited about this second wave, sort of the 2.0 version, because it's a lot more coordination. As Kevin said, it's like the whole project on steroids. I love the idea of, securing housing as well as, financial resources. And we're really hoping that this type of model can be utilized in a lot of places. And we've already gotten interest from other cities that we've worked in around something similar to what they're doing in California. So it's very exciting.
Definitely. And thank you so much for doing this, because I know just on ARC's end, we distributed about $539,000 just as one of the partners in this. And I know I've had a number of people contact me and literally say, when I came home, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I think, Deshonnte, you can speak more than this because you've experienced it. You were a recipient of the RCS funding. Why is this type of support important in your opinion?
I think it's very important because most of the time, I'm gonna speak for myself, I was doing what I was doing, committing crime because I was broke most of the time. I was trying to get food. I was trying to, I was young, so I wanted those shoes that just came out, and it was certain things that I wanted, and I didn't have that figure over me, father figure to teach me how to go get a job and get money the right way. So I knew how to get money the wrong way. So me getting out of prison and being able to have those funds, it helped a lot with clothes right away. You know what I'm saying? I was gone for 6 years. My body is different. I'm bigger. I had to get a whole new wardrobe. That helped out so much. My mom's and my stepdad, they're older, so they live check to check. So it's not like everything was just ready for me to get. I put some of that money towards a car, like it helps out a lot to keep it's keeping me focused and focus on the things that I need to focus on right now, and not have to be worried about, oh, I gotta hurry up and get money. I need this, I need that, I need that. I can breathe for a little while, you know, while I look for jobs and stuff. So yeah, it's very, the support is it's great.
Thank you for sharing that, Deshonnte. I appreciate you.
Sir, I appreciate you.
Want to ask, so this is another question from our audience. If we encounter people who are coming home and are not finding that they have access to these resources, what's the best avenue for them to reach out to? So one, there are 3 community-based organizations on here, Center for Employment Opportunities, Amity, and ARC, just to begin with. Samra and Doug, could you speak to how to contact both of your organizations, and I'll speak to ARC?
Sure. I can speak for CEO, and then also if you can't get in touch with other organizations, we can also help to route some of those referrals to other community-based partners, but you can just contact us via our website. I'm going to mess it up, so I'm going to put it in the chat of the exact thing. It's like info@ceoworks.org, but you can just email us there, and then we're able to route it either through to CEO or contact our other RCS partners to make sure that individuals can connect to those partners.
Doug?
Yeah, and we're also able to do the same through our website, but we also have placement coordinators that are at our Amity on Broadway offices, and we can do that at amityfdn.org, www.amityfdn.org, but also reaching out to Barry Lindstrom and Carmen, and I can send those phone numbers if you'd like me to put it into the chat, and email addresses for our placement coordinators. We have a whole team of placement coordinators that will work both with individuals in LA, but also statewide, can connect with available resources.
Thank you, Doug. Kevin and Jessica, what has been the work of the state and the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation to prepare for people coming home and to ensure that they can come home safely? What has been the work behind the scenes that we don't see or know about?
So I'll speak to the in-prison programs, and then I'll let Jessica talk about community. So Sam, as you are aware, we have hundreds of restorative justice programs in our institutions. We have arts and corrections. We have Marin Shakespeare. We have all these different programs, plus our integrated substance use disorder treatment programs. So we try and address as many needs as possible for these individuals before they even leave, so they're more prepared once they get in the community. I know that ARC runs several in-prison programs for youthful offenders and general population, and this has exploded over the years. Unfortunately, right now, we have a little hiatus, as Sam knows, because of COVID, but prior to this, you could go into any institution and there were hundreds of programs running at any given time. For instance, like Aly, he went through the Last Mile, which is a coding program that operates at multiple institutions. So there's a variety of programs to meet everyone's needs in the institution. So that's what we're doing prior to them leaving. And like I said, I've been working for the department for quite a long time, and prior to COVID, I'd seen nothing like that before, the amount of programs in the institutions. And I'll let Jessica talk about the community planning, the reentry planning that takes place prior to the individuals leaving.
For the community, we're, like you said, a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes, that's not necessarily apparent to the community. But one of the things that we work closely internally with all of our stakeholders, with all of our different divisions, to identify the different needs of the releasing population and try to put together systems that are going to address those individualized needs. Just recently, within the last few years that I've been working with community reentry, we've identified specific programs that are going to address the different needs, let's say like the lifer population, those who've served long-term sentences. We've heard within the community and within the individuals that have participated in our programs that they need services that are tailored to their specific needs. They don't necessarily always need substance use disorder treatment. Sometimes they need just life skills, they need the employment services. So we hear that, and we try to provide the services that are best going to benefit those releasing, and then also transition and provide a continuum of care from the services that are within the in-prison community or within the in-prison services, and so that they can easily transition into the community. We can address those triggers. We can get them the resources that they need so that they are successful, so that we can address the individual as a whole, and that it's not just one program for all the individuals. It's different programs that are going to provide an assessed need, that are going to be tailored to the individual so that individual is more successful. One of the other things that we do is we're very flexible. We're very flexible with the types of services that we provide so that we can also just tailor it on the different trends that we're seeing. The advantage that I have is that I get to see everything statewide, and I can see how the different trends are for different regions throughout the state, and really try to tailor the services and work closely to bring all the outside resources to the table so that we can address all the problems as a whole. And we're not just trying to address it as a division. We're not just trying to address it as parole. We're not trying to address it just, as a contractor. We bring everybody to the table so that we can have these resources readily available for each individual as they release.
Thank you, Jessica. On that point, I want to ask one other question specific. How is the department addressing the specific needs of, and this is from our audience, the specific needs of women that are in custody?
Within custody?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go ahead and I'll let Kevin answer that.
So we probably should have had somebody from DAI on this call. For me, luckily, I run programs, so I get to do the fun things in the department. As far as the specific needs of females, I would probably have to defer to our Division of Adult Institutions, and they are not on this call, but they would be able to tell you the multitude of things that they're doing to address those needs. But one thing that we do is the programs that we offer, our ISUDT and other programs, they're trauma informed. So, we try and address the specific needs through our programming. And there are a lot of different programs that have come into the female institutions that are specifically for females, our innovative grants and programs like that. So we are offering a lot of programming that is specific to females. And that has occurred over, over the last decade. So that's what we're doing.
Right. I could
as well.
Okay.
Yeah, Doug has the program at CCWS.
Yes, we actually have both CIW services where we're providing substance abuse treatment services and CBI services as well as helping to coordinate placements in the community for women that are in our programs, working with institutions on that. There are resources as well at CCTRP for individuals and women that are coming home for the last 2 years of their sentence to be in a community-based setting. Those are great programs that are in the community. And for us in the community, we have programs that we are able to fund called FOTEP that are both for women and women with children. And then we also make sure that our resources for housing, treatment, and other services are fully available for not only women, but women with children as well, which I can't stress enough as we have these conversations, how many parents are represented with men and women coming home and the importance of that. I think that's a great question and something that we should continue to do more of for our communities.
Right, and I do want to stress that, Doug, we do have specific contracts in place for females. We have female offender treatment and employment programs where women releasing from the institution or within the community can go and receive services and have their dependent children with them, and that's always very crucial so that it's proven to be more successful and have provide gender responsivity courses to them, and so that they can be successful, they can address themselves while still having their children if that's what's best. So we have a lot of female programs within the state.
Thank you, Jessica.
Sam, we have a unique program. It's the Offender Mentor Certification Program, and we have that program at CCWF. And that provides individuals, usually longer term individuals, the opportunity to go through a program and become alcohol and other drugs certified through the state of California. And then those individuals work in our in-prison substance use disorder treatment programs. It's a very unique and a great program if you ever get an opportunity to see the program and witness the graduation of both the male and the female OMCP. And those individuals usually do very well, and a lot of them have gotten out of prison and have gone on to very good jobs. So that's a program we have at CCWF.
Right. Thank you, Jessica and Kevin. Ali, want to ask you, why is it important for CZI to take on the challenge of keeping people safe in prison and support people coming home during the pandemic?
Sure. Yeah, our mission at CZI is pretty simple when it comes to criminal justice reform, and that's to safely decarcerate our nation and this this terrible experiment with mass incarceration. So, you know, we're focused on things kind of on a systemic level before COVID hit, and thanks to our founders, we were able to pivot to help people who are coming home, help organizations that are helping people that are coming home, and make sure people have the services they need to thrive post-incarceration. You know, it's been wonderful to partner with ARC and Amity and all of the other folks that are doing great work in this space. I was looking at the participant list, and we support some of the organizations that are on the participant list. We really feel that, you know, people on the ground closest to the problems are the people who have the solutions. And so we're going to continue to support our partners in the field until we have less people in prison.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. And want to just point out to our audience that a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month, I think, that actually the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation for the first time in 30 years is actually under 100,000 people. Think about that, the first time in 30 years. So, and then working together, if you look at this partnership right here, that includes many other community-based organizations that are making sure that there are resources available as people return home. So Deshaunte, I want to ask you, welcome home again. How long have you been home, and what has it been like for you to return in 2020 in the middle of a pandemic?
Oh man, I've been out for about 40 days now, and man, being released right now, it's scary. You know what I'm saying? It's scary. You know, it's even, I thought it was scarier out here, but inside of there, it's even worse. Now that I came out here, it's worse in there because there's no social distancing going on. You know what I'm saying? And it's impossible. They're trying. It's not that they're not trying, but it's impossible because there's so many people. So yeah, so getting away from that and coming out here, it's crazy, man. It's different. You know what I'm saying? I already knew it was gonna be different because I was gone for 6 years, but then on top of that, it's a pandemic going on. So it was just like a lot, you know. So it's just been a lot of self-quarantining for me, you know. I exercise inside my living room right here, with my moms and my step pops cheering me on in the background while I do my exercises. So it's cool, you know. I'm enjoying that. It's a lot of different things that you don't get to experience when life is moving so fast. We're always in and out, in and out. So my little sisters, they're around more, you know. I get to see them a lot. You know, my mom said, but when I was gone and then before the pandemic, and they were never here, always working. So she's happy to have us all here. So that makes me smile that my mama she gets to have her babies here. We ain't babies no more, but you know, she get to have us around.
I know the feeling. I often watch my mom, and she'll be sitting there while she's got her kids and her grandkids, and she'll just be in the back, just like,
Yeah,
to have the whole family home.
yeah.
Again, welcome home, brother, and
Thank you.
just make sure that you don't forget us when you play for the Rams, that you give us all a shout out. Doug.
Hey, most definitely, most definitely.
That's right. Doug, housing is probably arguably the most important resource for people who are coming home from prison. I'm certain you know this. And can you tell us about Amity's role in this partnership and in a larger reentry landscape?
Yeah, so I would say as part of this initiative, and I can't agree more, I think for us is making sure that people get the necessary supportive services, and whether that's for individuals going into treatment or needing just housing with additional supportive services, it's essential for people to have that resource. So as part of this, we've been able to expand, I think, about 1,000 beds statewide to make sure that there should not be people that are not able to be placed in this. And so we've gone to great lengths. I know for us, at least, especially in LA, we've doubled the size of our network to make sure that people are being safely housed and that we have adequate housing. We're also leveraging, and the great part of this project and really this innovative initiative is leveraging other resources. There's grants out from the Board and State Community Corrections through adult reentry grants to help pay rent for people for now up to a year with some of the programs that we have. So how do we better leverage those resources to ensure that people are extending the runway, and that we help make sure that it is not just a 3-month approach or a 6-month approach to making sure that people are safely housed, but we want to see people safely permanently housed and having the services that they need in the community. And so I think that this will help build and promote models that can be replicated statewide to make sure that people go from transitional or short-term housing into long-term housing.
Thank you, Doug. Kevin and Jessica, I have a two-part question. First, how does the Department of Rehabilitative Programs fit within this scope of just partnership? So that's one. And the second one is, how can we make sure and this is from the audience, how can we make sure that everyone is aware of the resources that are available as they're being released? Because in some instances, people might not even be aware of like the existence of ARC or CEO or Amity.
So I can go ahead and speak to that. So this pandemic is new to everybody, and we've had a network of services in place. But one of the references that Kevin had on one of our meetings was that we're kind of building the plane as we go. But so we're very fortunate to have a lot of resources readily available, and just bringing them all to the table to see how we can handle that, how we can bring everything to the table and keep this momentum going. One of the differences is that we are working a lot with just different partners that we hadn't been working with in the past. And so, we're bringing different stakeholders to the table, like for instance, with probation. We're working really closely with all 58 counties, with all 58 probation offices to bring resources in those areas that they didn't traditionally have resources readily available, extending these resources to all the individuals that are being released during this pandemic, and moving forward and really identifying and building a foundation so that we can move this, we could have this in place moving forward, so we can provide services to all those that are releasing, not just those that are releasing just to parole, but have these services and these resources readily available to anybody who needs them, who wants them.
Yeah, and I go back to the warm handoff, Sam. It's kind of strange that this pandemic has created relationships that we didn't have before. We have regional calls with our probation partners. We've had over 20 calls in the last month and a half. We have regular calls with our stop providers. I mean, we've always had a good relationship with our stop providers, but this has brought people together that have never been together before, and it really is starting to become that warm handoff that we've talked about for a long time. And as far as getting information out there, the gentleman or the lady that asked the question is right. It's difficult. We put out information at a high level, and it takes some time to get down to the lower level. That's why we've been doing these regional calls. We're on, Jessica knows, we're on calls every day with public health, with other entities in CDCR, with our health side of the department, with the stops, with probation, with CEO, with CPOC, which is the Probation Chiefs Association. I have never seen, again, anything like this in my history. The relationships with the counties was strained several years ago with AB 109 and initiatives like that, but it's been really quite a pleasure to work with the county probation offices, and with their help and with CPOC and all the other associations, we're trying to get much information out as we can. We disseminated another memo today, instructional memo that was done with between Doug, Bond, and us and others that gives instruction and lets people know how this funding was brought together and how it works. So the information's getting out there, but I do understand sometimes it just doesn't get to everyone, but we're attempting to get it to everybody we can.
One of the things that we're also doing is we have a commercial that will be playing within the institution. So people that are preparing for their release know that these resources are available. We work really closely with parole within the institution who are on the community transition program that are transitioning individuals into the community so that we can start identifying a smooth process, so we can address the transportation issues, so that we can do the warm handoff, so that we're prepared to help the individuals upon their release from the gate and into whatever community program they've been placed in, that we have the resources, they have the food, they have the clothing readily available to them, they have a network of services for them.
We're also disseminating a flyer inside the institutions that we hope to put in everyone's hand: correctional counselors, COs, doctors, nurses, PSAs, all the different individuals that work in the institution, that they can provide that information to individuals preparing to leave, so they have resources once they get out.
Thank you, Jessica and Kevin. I have a question and this is, I think Doug and Samra, this is probably one for you to field, and this is from our audience. Quite a few people are re-entering from more remote counties such as Mendocino, Butte, and Stanislaus. Are there resources available in those counties for them to tap into?
Yeah, so I could say with this effort that we are working in partnership with our community-based organizations to make sure, and this is where also relationships with local counties and probation and other stakeholders in those counties are working to make sure that if there are not those resources, that we identify available resources and bring those in as part of the network. And so we are working to make sure that that is in place. If we need to figure out other housing options, to make sure that individuals are not homeless or experiencing any type of homelessness upon release, we will put those agreements in place in counties that may not have the same level of resource. I'm sure Jessica and others can respond on that as well, but we have done a lot to build and make sure that that infrastructure is in place in every area we can.
Right, and I could actually speak to those three counties. Just recently, I worked directly with the probation chief for Mendocino County in bringing up resources for that area, working directly with our stop contractors to say, hey, we need services here, let this be our focus, bringing up the additional capacity, and really working with probation in those areas to identify what the specific need is. Is it housing? Is it licensed residential treatment? Is it outpatient services? And focusing those efforts there. Just recently, we brought up capacity in Stanislaus County to address that need that we had there, and within Butte, we're working there. Another county that wasn't mentioned is Shasta. We're working really hard in Shasta to bring up providers there within our network, so that they can provide the services that are needed for those releasing into those specific communities.
And if a county doesn't have services, we do inter-county transfers and work with both probation and parole to have somebody go to a different county and get on their feet there as they prepare to go back to their county.
Thank you. Samra, I have a question for you. How does this partnership fit in the scope of CEO's work nationally? Because this is focused California, but nationally, how does this fit into CEO's work?
Yeah, I mean, well, what happens in California really informs everything CEO does, because to make it work in California, I think speaks volumes of how other jurisdictions can do it. I mean, for us, honestly, and for me as sort of overseeing program, what's been really amazing is the partner network. And, we're in all these different locations and we have great partnerships, but to me, I've never seen this kind of collaborations. It almost feels like with partners, we're working in the same organization trying to get things through. And that's been really amazing. And I think what we've seen is we have this group of 28 wonderful kind of best in class partners across the country of program providers. And how do we mobilize that group of individual organizations collectively to do more advocacy work, to kind of align as a coalition nationally around this work. So I think in sort of the broader RCS context, we're definitely looking at elevating the role of this network we've created and trying to push more for the resources that are needed in reentry. And then I think specifically looking at this, just again saw an email come in sort of mimicking a similar type of model in a different state. And I think we can, learn from this experience and take pieces from that and work with other partners to sort of maybe hopefully, replicate something like that in our other cities that we're in, which I think would be hugely impactful.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Doug, what are some of the challenges that are facing Amity and its community members during this pandemic? I'm sure it's similar to what our members are facing, but could you share, please?
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of similar challenges. I know that there's been a lot of sleepless nights trying to make sure that our Amity students and that our faculty are safe, and making sure that we keep everyone really safe during this time, that we provide the necessary resources. And we've had to rethink a lot of how we engage with people and just the flow of services, how that works, being creative. With doing things like employment services, having visits, and making sure that family reunification is a part of what we're doing, how to rethink all of these things in the community. I think very similar, and more than anything is engaging our community-based partners. I will say that the federally qualified health centers and community clinics that have really stepped up to help us through this time have been heroic in their efforts, and we could not do that without them. In the community. And so many, the great part about this too, the positive part, is just the sense of collaboration. We've distributed now over 50,000 units of PPE to people in the community. And so whether it's one of our projects or somebody else's, it's a community effort. And so making sure that people are safe, making sure that our faculty, who all have the same challenges that we do, whether it's a single parent that's trying to work and get and support what we're doing, but also support their children at home. Making sure that we're reuniting the parents that are coming home with their children, and how we're doing that safely, and making sure that we are creating spaces for people long term. So I think all of those challenges in the workforce element has been, decimated through a lot of the unemployment for people that are formerly incarcerated coming out has been a significant challenge. And so resources like CEO have been amazing during this time. I know that we've distributed, like ARC, a lot of those resources to our students and individuals and services. And so having that in place, and more than anything, again, just keeping people safe during this time and making sure that they have all the necessary resources. So we also are working to make sure that for those that have had to be in quarantine housing or other housing type services, that is a new service available that we're wanting to make sure that we provide, so people are safely placed into community settings as well.
Thank you, Doug. And for our viewers and listeners, I really want to impress upon you how important this partnership is for public safety, because literally what we're doing here, we've created this network of providers, governmental agencies, philanthropy, to make sure as people are returning home that they have a community that they can return to that supports them, and make sure that their needs are being met. Because other things that are also offered under this collaboration is transportation. So for instance, if a person is leaving Pelican Bay, which is at the northernmost part of our state, literally we're making sure that that person has transportation to his designated transitional housing or his family's housing, and any other institution throughout the state of California. In addition to that, also making sure that people, as they return home, they're able to plug into programs. And so Amity and many other organizations that have been doing this work, ARC, Friends Outside, Homeboy Industries, and many others, I know I may not have named all of them, but are working in collaboration to make sure as people, new way of life for women, actually have a place where they can plug into and be able to transition out of incarceration. So just want to make sure that the public understands that with the release of so many people from prison, is not being taken lightly, and there is an effort across the state with many organizations, governmental agencies, that are making sure that this is done safely and that there's not a threat to public safety. So I know there are people that have worried about this, but this is just a peek inside of what this collaboration is doing that involves so many organizations that stand out in philanthropy, government, and community-based organizations. Wanted to ask each of our amazing guests, first of all, I want to just tell you thank you for being here on the Fireside Chat and sharing with the work that we're all doing together. And wanted to go to Aly, some closing thoughts of what you'd like our listeners to be able to take home with them.
I think from the CZI side and from the philanthropic side is that, we're in this fight with everybody to make sure that we can get our people home safe and keep lowering the amount of people who are in our jails and prisons, and that we're really grateful to all the organizations that are doing all of this wonderful work, from the Department of Corrections all the way down to the mom and pop organizations that are driving people home from prisons and jails. So it's just really been a privilege to be on this call, and it's a privilege to see so many people collaborating together and doing good things during this pandemic. And so thank you.
Thank you, appreciate you, and appreciate the commitment of CZI. Thank you, this is amazing. Jessica, closing thoughts for our audience to take home with them.
I think it's just like Aly said, we can't do it. We can't do it alone. CDCR can't do it alone. And the only way we've all been successful is because of the collaboration that we have and the different relationships that we've built. And I think that the more we have people, like-minded individuals that are just willing to do whatever they can to help is going to be the success of the community in our state.
Thank you, Jessica. Doug, closing thoughts for our community to take home?
Yeah, first just want to thank you, Sam, for bringing everyone together, and for ARC for their efforts to really convene and have these dialogues with everyone. And then, my closing thoughts are really just the amazing collaboration and community effort that this really takes, from Philanthropy, CDCR, from all the amazing community-based organizations. It truly is a community and collaborative effort that really helps to make sure that we do this long term, that this isn't just a one-time thing, that this is really the way that everyone should be coming home, with the support in place to make sure that we're successful in helping them.
Thank you so much, Doug. Greatly appreciate you and the work that Amity's been doing. Kevin, last thoughts for our audience to take home with them.
So Sam, I saw a question come through. It wasn't really a question. It was somebody said, why is it taking so long to get a flyer out? And I'll take that. That's okay. True. But I do want to say that this didn't even exist 2 months ago. This has been put together in 2 months. So like I say to Jessica all the time, we're flying this plane while we're building it. I mean, and so I hope everybody's patient, but we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes. And sorry it took me so long to get that flyer out, but I'll make sure that's out soon. But it's just been a privilege to work on this project. It's been one of the best things that I've ever done in my life.
Hey, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you. Samra, closing thoughts for our audience?
Sure. Just, everything everyone said, but also just this pandemic has been so awful in so many ways. But the one bright thing is I think it's made, a lot of us see that things that seem impossible or really difficult are able to be achieved. If you would have told me that we could have enrolled 7,500 people across multiple partners in 6 cities or 28 cities in 4 months, I would have said that's impossible. And so I do think, hopefully the pandemic goes away, but we can still push ourselves to, even if something seems hard, even if something seems difficult, we can do it, and we should do it for the folks coming home. It's very important. And I hope that has helped to change a lot of the way people and all of these partners think about the work going forward.
This is amazing. And thank you, Samra. Thank you, CEO, for the work that you're doing in this collaborative effort. Deshonnte.
Hey.
Last thoughts for our viewers to take home with them.
Say God bless to everyone. Again, I'm so thankful and grateful and humble to be home, to get a second chance at life, to get to be able to reintroduce myself to the world, as the man I am now, that I worked hard to become, and that I'm not defined by my past, and I'm gonna continue to chase my dreams and become a better person, and I will be a success story. And thank you again for everything to everyone.
All right, thank you, Deshonnte. I want to again thank everyone who's joined our amazing panelists as we're about to close out our fireside chat for this week. Just want the public to know that this is an effort that's a collective effort of many different people, formerly incarcerated people, governmental officials, including Department of Corrections, the governor's office, our state legislature has had some input. So there's a lot of work, and people that may not be on the screen that are trying to make sure that as we do our best to decarcerate, create more space in our correctional system, that we also bring people home safely and make sure that our communities remain safely. We're in this together, and that's not just a slogan. Like, just look at the work that people are putting in. So I want to thank everybody for joining. Thank you, everybody that has watched, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, take care. God bless. On our screen, you'll see all of the information. If you want to reach out to Amity, the CZI team, Center for Employment, the California Department of Corrections, or ARC, all of the information is right there on the screen. Please take a moment to take that down if one of our support partners you'd like to contact. And remember, again, solutions can be found in a collective of teamwork. Appreciate you all. Take care. God bless. Stay safe.